let us look at what is this data analytics? What does data analytics stands for? So, and what comes up in your mind on data analytics? There's a noise that is coming from somewhere. Okay, now that's fine. That's fine. So, if you had to look at what data analytics strategies is, it is basically a foundation of all, your data practices. It is not just about data problem, but this one normally addresses quite a number of things. It actually basically addresses, like for example, data in long terms. It also addresses actually guiding plans that defines the people. It also talks about the processes, technologies that are actually necessary to resolving your data challenges and even actually supporting your business actually goals. Well, having said that, I want to actually look at why is it important? Why is it so much important actually to have a data strategy in your organization? Like actually I've actually said that data strategy, it addresses quite a number of things in long terms and also the guidelines and technology that you're supposed to use. So we have what we call data strategy frameworks. And this one normally serves as foundations for all your data initiatives. And this allows you, or rather allows your organization to remain actually competitive and remain actually agile under the pressure. So in this case, just 1 minute, I fix something here that is disturbing me. 1 minute, just 1 minute, please. Good, now fixed. So I was only saying that actually it allows the business actually to make informed decision based on actually on accurate and reliable data. So with the data strategies, you'll be able to make your organizations to remain competitive, and especially in today's digital market. Data analytics actually strategies is critical when you come now to success of the modern business. Days are long gone when organizations actually will come up actually with decisions without actually being without actually supporting it with the data. So data strategies is critical to the success of the modern actually business. So it helps the companies to make actually data-driven decisions, optimize their operations, and even stay competitive in today's fast-paced and data-intensive actually business environment. So creating data analytics strategies. So if you are thinking of actually creating a strategy that can be able to help you to analyze your data, that is going to help you as a person or as an organization to be able to, one, remain competitive, two, help you to be able to make decisions actually and be able to, basically remain actually competitive. So here are some of the things that you need actually to put in consideration. So as a business leader, you need to consider, one, what employees need so that they can be empowered and actually to be more, effective when it comes to the usage of the data. So you need to ensure that your employees actually are properly empowered. You train them and actually you mentor them so that they can actually be able to use the data properly. Well, someone's asking actually, will you share the presentation? Actually, I'll share the presentation. Maybe someone will be able to share the presentation. Another thing that you can be able to look at actually is the processes required to ensure that the enterprise data is both accessible and overtly of higher value. So you need to make sure that the processes that are required just to ensure the enterprise data is both accessible and actually basically of higher quality. So those are things that you need actually to be able to put into consider when actually you are creating this data analytic strategy for business startups or for existing organization. You should also think about technology. And technology actually will enable you to store the data, share data, and basically analyze or basically be able to analyze the company's data. So when you're thinking of coming up actually with a data analytics strategy, you must look into this critically. What employees need to know. So you need actually to empower them so they can be able to use their data effectively. You also need to look at actually the process. And this is basically ensuring that the data is, the organization data is both accessible and at least of high quality. And then also you need to look at the technology. Technology will come actually in terms of actually of storage, sharing, and also analyzing that particular data so it can actually be very useful within the organization. So what are the goals? What is data analytics strategy goals? So the goals of data analytics is to be able to answer the questions of how the entire organizations can, one, leverage data in support for making decision making. That's one. Two, to build a plan that actually basically intertwines the role of the people, the process, and the technology that we have talked about. That is basically the main aim of having a data analytic strategy. It will be able to help you to leverage data in support of making business decisions. We are living in an age where we collect a lot of data through the social media, our website, customer referral. Some customers will be able to visit within the organization. You might be having sensors to be able to detect how many people who have come, who have visited your organization. The customer's sentiments, you'd actually want to analyze them. So if you'd want to draw insight from that, then you need to come up with a data strategy or data analytics strategy that will be able to help you to make a decision. And also you'd want to come up with a strategy so that be able to intertwine different players, that is the people or the users, the processes, and the technology that we'll be using. Let us look at data analytic strategy elements. And the first element that we talk about is alignment with the business strategy. What do you mean by this? This only is basically you identify relevant business drivers. That's not what I really need to do. You identify the relevant business drivers, big or small, and that actually could be positively impacted by the data or analytics. So when you come with the strategy, it must be aligned with the business strategy. You don't want to dig in to understand the departmental activities and how they can be able to sync up with the, with the business goals. You'd also want to compare. You'd want to compare, your findings to the industrial standards, and also note how you'd actually organization data, will serve each business drivers. or which actually area are missing out on the data insight. Then sometimes actually also when we talk about aligning actually the business actually strategy as an element of data analytic actually strategy, sometimes actually you'd want, or is time now is now actually in time actually to buy up the business. So with no data strategy, you would actually not be able to succeed. So no data strategy will actually succeed without also getting support from the executive, those people actually who are within the organizations and their decision makers. So these ones should be able to demonstrate how data supports their goals. You need also to identify the business champions within the organization, the importance actually of the stakeholders. You need also look at the subject matters experts who actually represent specific departments and actually basically functions. The second one you can talk about is analytics and data maturity evaluation. So to get a full picture of analytics and basically data maturity, you need actually to, one, an inventory of all the tools, the technology, the systems that actually you're going to use actually today. So this one actually you need to know your starting point. You need to know your starting point, your current analytic maturity levels. So before basically outlining your desired future states. So this actually will help you to set out attainable goals and even actually take realistic incremental steps to become actually data-driven. So to get a full picture of your analytics and data maturities, you need actually, one, the inventory of the tools, technologies, and the systems that actually you use today to be able to analyze your data. Two, you need to have that comprehensive overview of your data infrastructure, as well as actually your existing data structure and also architecture. And the third one, what actually you need to do, you need to carry out an assessment of the people's skills and organization process related to the data and basically analytics. So with an understanding of actually your current state, you can actually identify where your gaps are, where there are known issues, and actually what you need to optimize, whether it's actually being a technology, a process, people, or basically all, to be able to meet now the business objective across the organization. So your data and analytics maturity level is a tool to prioritize your project and also serves as a benchmark to measure the progress as you increase the capability and performs tasks from actually your data strategies. So, and I have a diagram there, and these are the diagrams actually, once actually you have carried out an inventory of the tools that you have, a comprehensive overview of your data infrastructure, and also assessing the people's skills within the organizations. So this is actually basically a diagram that's trying to illustrate when actually you don't have a strategy and you have not been able to do what actually I've just stated. We actually have the low value, which has got the high risk. You have data, yes, but it's always of low value. So the risks are that you're likely to make an actually informed decision. I'm also having a high value data, and actually basically low risk. If you look at actually the low value and high risk, we're having what we call chaotic, and actually likely to be reactive. Then actually as you move to extreme right, whereby you're having the high value plus low risk, you're able to have actually managed and basically optimized. So if you have to look at the chaotic, that basically means no formal analytic structure that actually have been put into place within the organization. 2, basically no analytics management, or maybe your cars actually in silos, in data silos. So employees' capabilities, they vary. That means that not everybody is on the same page when you come now to data analytics and actually management of the data. KPIs are basically undefined. So based on actually ad hoc and basically chaotic metrics. So we lack now data-driven decisions. Also actually in reactive, that basically there is no formal integrated enterprise reporting. So people report the way they would want. They likely don't use actually their data when actually they're reporting. So there is no that integrate when you're actually trying to integrate the reporting within the entire organization. So analytic management actually is departmentalized. So employees analytics actually competence actually is varying. So KPI focus on the past, like actually, for example, asking what happens last week, month, or the year. But if you look at actually now on the extreme side where you have high value of your data, it basically means low risk. And the reason we're talking about low risk is because there is that integrated enterprise analytics, right from the customer to the executive. So there is that analytic management and process that exists. So there's a KPI focus on the future outcomes. Measures that leading indicators that actually provide that prescriptive change, like how much changing of X, Y, Z impact the outcomes. So also we talk about now strong analytics management, and also that is basically you optimized. When basically that's basically for managed. When you optimized, you can talk about integrate enterprise analytics. That's basically you include advanced analytics. You'll also have actually strong analytics management and process. You're also going to have the KPI focus on predictions. You'll also be able to provide a very strong confidence level of actually taking the business actions. Then also data science can be able to optimize that. And also the machine learning can be able now to incorporate now other technologies like machine learning and also AI analysis. They also used actually in the project KPI. The third one, we can talk about data structure and technology. So it is easier to get basically caught up in the hype and also the latest technology, and also have that inclination to what to choose that is in terms of the newest in the market. So it is also easy to get overwhelmed by ever-growing number of choices. Ever-growing number of choices. And even actually decide to stick with what you have and actually takes single vendor approach. So there are varying ways to be able to cut through the noise of the market and actually basically choose the technology that works best, for your institution. So what do you need to do? You need to focus actually on the modern tools. You enable your peoples to be more data-driven. So that is actually, you can actually avoid the mindset of actually of modernizing to modernize. So you can think about relevance, accessibility, the performance of the technology. So we talk about relevance exactly is who will actually be using the technology and actually will meet the needs. So technology should actually organize and present data in a meaningful way for the business users. So there's also what we call now the accessibility, and there are so many obstacles that the departments and the business users face when actually accessing data. So you can actually consider the tools that actually can be able to enable everyone's across the organizations to make a data-driven decision. We can also talk about performance. They are basically powerful technology on the market that actually speed the data transformations process. You can be able to consider the tools that actually will enable the business users to be proactive and basically reactive. So you can also establish the methodology and also a proven tech combos. So instead of just identifying a universal best-in-class approach, so you can actually use customized tools selections based on on maturity levels, data types, maybe the size, the velocity, as well as the team size and structure within our clients. So they are actually basically proven data architecture and technologies combinations that actually are known to work very well together, which can actually be able to use. So when actually choosing your tool and technology, remember that actually there will be, or rather they are not actually standalone components, but rather integrated parts of your data architecture. So if you look at the diagrams that I have actually shown there, is basically talking about from data extractions up to the last sections where we're having data presentation. So in between there, we're having a lot of activity taking place. And that's why we are saying, as you choose your tool, you really not have one tool that actually is sufficient to serve you. So you really need to have an integration of various parts. Because as we can say, in a modern data architecture, there's always a representation of stages of data lifecycle. So there is phases of extractions of data, where data is normally cleaned and stored, and basically you can be able to replicate, you can be able to transform that data, and you can be able to have now visualizations. So this is basically a diagram that's showing various technologies that have been used if you are trying to analyze your data. So starting from actually relational databases, flat files, semi-structured actually data, third-party data, or third-party technology that will help you to collect data, structured or semi-structured data, streaming as well, whereby it's supposed to be taken through a particular tools, and then all these tools can actually be used, to transform the data into the form that actually you'd want to have. And actually the last end is whereby you're having analytics, whereby you can be able to create now the dashboards, reports. You can also have embedded actually analytics, ad hoc reports, and so on and so forth. The other thing I'll actually be able to look at is data analytic team. So becoming a data-driven organizations, this requires more than just a technology. So you need the right people in the right role to ensure technology and the processes are adopted and the business objectives are being met. So the first step is building an effective data analytics actually team. So this is basically to choose and actually basically identify your operating actually models. So your operating model actually dictates the team's structure, the role necessary for, to meet actually your goals. So you're likely to have these models. One of them actually is a decentralized operation models. This basically you distribute responsibility across different lines of the business and even IT leading the collaborations or leading, to a collaborative approach. Like for example, data management, data strategies, business intelligence. You'll also have what you call centralized operating model. And this is more structured with everything falling under the responsibility of a specific executive function. And this allows for easier data governance and actually improved decision making. Then also you can be able to have the hybrid operating models. And this is you combine that decentralized and basically centralized model with one, central authority for data management and even decentralize the business unit group across the organization. And this model actually allows, for consistent data management and even data governance and the freedoms for each line of the business, to take charge in the actually data and basically analytic initiative. So then you should also assess the skill sets of your team. And this is starting actually with the, your staff strength and actually where they will actually need to be supported. If you're actually adopting a new technology or architecture, or even actually data model or development methodology, does actually your staff need a training? Are they conversant actually with what actually you'd want to adopt? What is the level of data literacy? Does everyone have it? Do you need actually to hire more people? So this assessment is, should actually be tied to your operations and actually should be data analytics be aligned to the business unit and also IT, and how your IT would actually be able to support the business in the analytics needs. So you can see we have upper management, what basically they are supposed to be involved in, the line of the business subject matters experts, and basically the IT analytics, that is the Power BI developers. So they're supposed to be involved actually in data governance, in creating of actually the Power BI tools. That really should be left to the IT analytics, who are the Power BI developers. When it comes to using of these Power BI tools, everyone should be able to use it. In terms of data literacy, then everyone should actually be involved. When we talk about now data visualizations and which one is the best practices, then actually those are actually in line with the business subject matters experts should also be involved, as well as actually the Power BI, or rather the BI, that is business intelligence developers, should actually be involved. So the other one we can talk about is data governance. So data governance actually is what ultimately leads to high quality data. And this actually allows the enterprise levels sharing of data across the business. So while data governance actually is very important to our data analytics strategy, it is important to understand that actually just like actually your level of data and analytic maturity is unique in your organizations, so is actually the needs for data governance. So we have actually the golden rule for data governance. One of them actually is, the practicals, the maintainable, and also the proportional. And the second one is basically invest in data governance as a program, not a project, but as a program. And then also you should be able to have data governance is not a tool. So although there are so many great tools that I could be able to find in the market that support the effective application of governance, so data governance itself, it is not a tool or a platform that I can be able to purchase. And there isn't one way approach to it. So implementing actually data governance, it carries a high risk of low adoptions if not done correctly. And this can actually be costly if that is done in a hurry. So to avoid this, data governance program you outline should actually account for your company's need, the size, the urgency, and maturity. So users' adoptions of your data and analytics helps when the data's governance is realistic and something that actually blends in your everyday operations. So data governance takes leaderships, and sometimes navigating through difficult conversations, and especially developing a business, grocery is a good practice. Maybe you can be able to start from that point. Then the other one you can talk about is data strategies roadmap. So on data strategies roadmap, this one is basically the culmination of all work that you have done, up to this point. What makes all your previous work actionable? So the factors actually include in the data strategies roadmaps are: one, you can talk about that staff availability and whether outside actually helps is required. Two, a company budgeting process, and specifically in the capacity, basically in the capital investment, is that also required? We also have actually that at least computing project that actually might prevent the right resources actually from actually participating. We can also talk about a major company's milestones, such as actually expected actually new product release, or basically planned merger, or basically acquisitions. So each recommendations that actually will help bridge the gap, basically from the current states to the future states. And this defines the visibility and also expected actually the business value will actually be provided. So the plan actually should be, one, you prioritize activities that are the easiest to implement, but also provide the quick wins to the business. So having a timeline in your roadmap that allows actually to celebrate those incremental milestones achievement, like wins, that have been earned along the way, will actually help keep you or keep your teams motivated and with high morale. And you can actually be able to look at these diagrams. It's trying to just to explain the roadmap. And actually you need to carry out the project visibility study. So the one actually with the low visibility study, not actually with the high visibility study, and also the low value and also the high value. So you're using actually what you call the prioritization matrix, and each planned project is at least scored and plotted based on its business value and technical visibility. So we also have this cultural change and basically adoption, which also is quite important. So you have only successfully created your data analytics strategy, equipped actually with the roadmap. You are ready to proceed with the data initiatives. So the last, but really not the least, is basically addressing the change management. Because actually your team actually will be dealing with a lot of change and basically maybe the new responsibility and also expectations. So without the culture change, your data strategy efforts will not see the fullest potential. So you consider training and also establishment, training and basically establishment. You need to have what they call the budget support, the communication actually in order to promote data-driven culture, increase adoptions, and also improve decision-making. If you're talking about the training and actually basically to enablement, so this is having done the hard work of assessing your staff's skills set and basically addressing the gap. So you need actually to plan on how to equip them with the right skills and knowledge. So think about providing appropriate orientations and training about data awareness, new technologies training, best practices, and also institutional knowledge. Budget, you need to create a data strategy. Isn't one actually and a done process. So you need to consider ongoing budget to support all the items in your roadmap, including those unforeseen changes as well. Then communication. So because lack of communications around why and when changes of the data strategies can occur, that can actually be determined, can actually be, can negatively affect your organization or your data initiative. So you need actually a communication plan in place. And these are that details who should actually inform, when, and by what method. So considering things change, the process or technologies, which matrix needs to be discussed, upcoming events, as well as actually education content like data literacy, staying consistent with your message, show the meaningful statistics, and not only the progress, the business impact. You celebrate the wins, whether big or small. So executive support in communication actually will be a big impact. So we can actually say that data strategy is a data analytics strategy is basically a foundations for all your data analytics needs, especially as the organization looks, to become more analytically mature. It is not just focused on short-term projects, but long-term plans that they can be able to take that holistic look at the people, processes, and technology. So as you develop your data analytics strategy framework, remember the 7 key points that I have just talked about. That is alignment with the business strategy, analytics and data maturity, evaluation, data architecture and technology, data analytic team, data governance, data strategy roadmap, and the culture, change, and management. And all critical pieces that you need to put them together to be able to overcome your data challenges, improve your decision-making within the organization, and even actually support your business needs. Good, that's all, and that's actually basically all that I have just mentioned. I think that's actually what I had on data analytics strategies for the business and actually startup. Well, it's time for question. Thank you so much, faculty, for attending this webinar and also trying to basically understand actually the data analytic strategy. There's actually much more that we could have covered, but actually this is the only time that we had. So thank you very much. I think actually I'll take you back again to Clinton. You can actually be able to take up from there. Clinton? Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the wonderful session. It was such a informative one, and it really enlightens the mind and also gives us direction to where we should be headed to. And since there being no any question, I want to really appreciate you, first and foremost, for having created time to be our trainer today. It was a wonderful experience having you on board. And to all other participants, our delegates who made time to attend the session, we also want to appreciate you so much, and may God bless you. And there being no question, I'm just trying to check if there's a question. Okay, there's a question. There's a question to you, Mr. Eliud, from Francis Kivuli. He's saying, in culture change adoption, please comment on resistance to change. So I think you can revert to this before we move forward.
Okay, thank you very much. You know what happens actually when you talk about resistance to change, it takes place actually, well, it's a common thing that likely to happen and to everyone, and especially if you don't know what is likely to happen. But the best thing actually is to orient or train this person why the change actually is quite important, and then you can actually be able to draw the roadmap on actually where you'd want to go as an organization, and also you try to show the benefits that actually you're likely to reap, from the entire as an organization. But it's something that's likely to happen. But the only way we can be able to alleviate or to take care of it is by adequate training or sensitizations of why you actually want to adopt the new technology, and also trying to, let's say, pick the modern actually tools to use. Some people actually fear there's that fear of uncertainty that this one's likely to take up my jobs and actually so on and so forth, or this is actually the only thing that I know. I can't actually use any other technology. So, but actually when you train this person and actually you give them actually a room for improving on actually either on their skills or learning more about actually what you're trying to implement, then actually that one can actually be alleviated with ease. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for such a clarification. And there being no any other question, I think it would be prudent if we end the session for today here at this moment. We are just 2 minutes to 1. And I want to really echo what I said sometimes back, that it's a pleasure having you all. And let's meet for next week's training, same time, same place. God bless you all. And don't forget to generate your certificate using 169 as the code for this week. Thank you so much. We can leave at our own pleasure.
Thank you, Clayton. And thank you, everyone.
You're most welcome.